So, who in the room is interested or care about sustainability? Please don't be shy. Raise your hand. Okay. So you are in the right room. So I will try to convince the others that why sustainability and decarbonizing the future is important. So I'm convinced that sustainability, we can make some change, can reduce the impact we have. But as I love basketball, I know, and for many years, I know we cannot succeed alone. We need to play and to work as a team. So it is not working? Okay, thank you. So as I was saying, I'm a fan of basketball, so I'm playing basketball for 4 years. And as a team sport, we know that we can make it possible alone. We need to play together and to make it succeed, to success. So this is the same for sustainability. That means every business must reduce their carbon footprint, make some saving, and to help in terms of sustainability. So sustainability is not an option. So now let's see how we can, and how ST is doing on this sustainability journey. And I will try to show you what are we doing in terms of product and how DTIT can help this journey to carbon neutrality. So I will start to introduce a bit STMicroelectronics. So who we are, probably some of you don't know STMicroelectronics. What is our sustainability strategy? Then I will cover the contribution of DTIT to carbon neutrality and sustainability. So, STMicroelectronics, who we are? So we are a semiconductor company, one of the world's largest semiconductor company. So we have around 50,000 employees across the globe. We have, for now, 14 manufacturing sites. We are having a revenue of more than 16 billion, and we have around 200,000 customers. What is our business model? So, as we are IDM, so that means we are designing and making products, so semiconductor product. So the first step is the R&D. So we design the semiconductor. So that means we answer the request of our customer to build a new chip. Then after we manufacture this chip, we have a big factory across the globe. You will see just after where we are located. Once we did the first step of the building of chip, we do what we call AWS. This is something where we sort and electrical sorting of the wafer. And then we have the back-end manufacturing operation, which in fact is the packaging of the semiconductor before to be delivered and put in an end user device or a solution. And of course, we care as we care from all the life cycle of the product, from the end, the design part, up to the end of life of the product. So, as I told you, we have a global presence. So, as you can see, we are mainly in Europe and EMEA and APAC, but we do have a presence as well in North America, mainly in US and Mexico. So, last point, where you find us, because if you don't know STMicroelectronics, we are in everyday, all the products you may use have products from STMicroelectronics. So we have ST inside. So whatever you have a car, a smartphone, whatever you have watches, a dishwasher, every product in your daily life are ST embedded products. So I will take an example. If you drive whatever the car you are driving, so our biggest customer in the car maker market is Tesla, but we do chips for all the car makers, whatever they are, French car maker, Italian car makers, Japanese, American car makers. So all the brands are made by S and are running ST products. Same for smartphone. I take a second example. If you have a Samsung phone, a smartphone from Apple, or any devices from Apple is made with ST product. So, and our motto is ST motto is life augmented. So it's how to make your life much easier and how we can improve your daily life. So we are as well present in all the smart city, in the smart factory. We can help you to drive better, to make your life greener, or all the end user devices or the connected devices you may have at home are with ST inside. So let's move now to sustainability strategy. So as I told you, we care about sustainability. So for ST, it's not just a buzzword. We are committed to sustainability for many years. So it's part of our DNA. So ST is a young company, 30 years old company, but sustainability is part of our DNA and is part of our commitment since 27 years. So as you can see, since we exist, we reduce the consumption to make new products. So let's take some example. Water consumption has been reduced by 77%. Electricity consumption as well is reduced year after year. So far we use less electricity. We used in the past first to design the ships, then to make it, to build it. We were able to recycle more and more products we use in the entire supply chain and the life cycle of building a product. So this is what we have done in the past and what is our strategy. So we are committed for the environment. So I will focus mainly on the sustainability part, environment part of the sustainability. So what about climate change, energy reduction, water and chemical reduction? So one way to improve our footprint is to save energy and to use renewable energy. So I will talk about it a bit later. I will explain what we do in these two main topics. And we are committed to be carbon neutral, same. So this is a commitment we have taken some years ago, where we want to be really neutral for our 40th anniversary. Then we want to use more efficiently all the resources like water. So we do recycle water. So we have our own recycling water plant. We manage as well the scarcity and the community because water is a key resources. So we need to share it and to use it responsibly. And this is the same for wastes and chemical products. We tend to go for zero waste and use less and less chemical product in our production. So as I told you, our CEO announced 3 years ago that we want to be carbon neutral for the 30th anniversary of ST, so which is soon. That means today we are 2023. We plan to be carbon neutral by 2027. So that means what that means carbon neutral for us. So is totally neutral in carbon for scope 1 and scope 2, and partially for scope 3. So that means we will totally compensate, we will totally cover the scope of 1, 2, and partially the scope 3. So this scenario has been approved by SBTi. So that means we want to be recognized as a company that commit and apply what they do. So we will source 100% of energy by 2027. So first, we rely on PPA. So if you are not familiar with PPA, it's purchasing power agreement. So this means we are committing. Yeah, it's working. Okay. So that means we are working with utilities providers, and we make some contract to source renewable energy. The second topic I will cover a bit later on is on-site generation. So that means we are one way as well is to source energy from utilities and power providers, but as well to produce our own energy. Part of this carbon neutrality journey, we committed as well to reduce our consumption, electricity and energy consumption, by 150 gigawatt hours per year before 2027. And we have many collaborative programs with partnership. I can give you an example. We are part of the Apple ecosystem and partnership program for clean energy. So that means we are committed to provide clean energy products made with clean energy to Apples. So for now, in ST, we are running with 62% of clean and renewable energy. But for the plants that are used to deliver product for Apple, we are already at 100% of renewable energy. So what we can say as well, we have reduced the direct emission, so by 1% between 22 versus 21. So it can be seen as a low percentage, but I will tell you why it's not so low in few seconds. So as we want to be recognized as a leader in terms of sustainability, we do rely on companies like CDP and Dow Jones Sustainability Index. So we have some analysts that rank us as among the 10% of the top company in terms of sustainability, and we are listed for more than 6 consecutive years by the Dow Jones Index. We also participate in what we call Carbon Disclosure Project. So, and we were recognized as a supplier truly engaged and a leader in terms of water management, where we are listed as a A list. So this is a top list for this recognition. We received as well the B score in terms of climate change management. So what we plan to do in terms of change will impact and will be limited for the climate. And we are using this as well to share and to benchmark where we stand versus other competitors and companies. So we spoke about ST sustainability strategy. Now let's have a look of digital transformation team, what we can do and what we do to support this carbon neutrality journey. So DTI team is a small team, so we are a big company, but only around 1,500 people working in DTIT. So DTIT stands for, as you can see, Digital Transformation and Information Technology. So we are spread across 16 countries in 28 or 26. Right now is 29 different sites. So we have sites across the globe, as you can see. So we have people here from Italy, from France, from Asia. Then what we do, so we cover all the business domains of ST. So as I told you before, we do design of the chips. So we cover the design part. We cover as well what we call the business function. And of course, we cover as well the manufacturing part, which is a very big part. So DTIT is helping all the company to achieve first his strategic ambition and to be profitable and, of course, contribute to carbon neutrality journey. So we lead the digital transformation of the company. We have something called the North Star Vision, where it is our 5 years roadmap, what we want to do, how we want to design, deploy, and operate the IT aligned with the business to get a business that is more efficient, where we improve the customer and employee experience. So this is what we deliver as IT guys. But we have challenge, and a lot of challenge, because we have a large number of data centers on site in the world, as you can see. A large number of components, so IT components. We have many IT components. We have servers, we have storage, we have PC, printers, network equipment, and so on and so forth. We do have multiple IT vendors, so we have a big partner like VMware, HPE, Red Hat, Microsoft, Cisco, Dell, SAP, but we have many, many more. And we are a fast-growing company as well, so in the past few years, it's a double-digit growth, So that means we increase our capacity in terms of manufacturing production. So new fab are coming. We are building new fab. We are building new data center. And in the same time, we need to reduce our carbon footprint and to reduce the energy consumption. We have as well many other challenges because as we are small and we invest, for many years, we invest every dollar in the business. So no IT tool were deployed so far. So that means all the tools we have are for business users or for end users. So we have to set up everything. So first, if you want to know where you are, you have to measure. So we want to measure the power consumption. So for that, we have to set up power meter or sub-power meter, because at the plant, at the big factory, we have a power meter, but for the whole factory, not at the data center level or at the facilities or at DTIT level. Same for measuring the cooling. We need cooling, we need chill water, air conditioning to cool the data center, and we need to measure if we want to improve, and how to measure the carbon emission as well. As you see, we are on many locations. So as the carbon intensity is location dependent, we need to be aware of where the energy is used to transform it and to calculate the carbon emission. And one more thing that is not right in the slide, one particularity of ST is we are running 24/7. So all the operation, all the factory never stop. So we build billion-dollar factory. We call them sometimes gigafactory. So this gigafactory, once we spend 5, 6, 7 billion, they will run for 24/7 for 5, 10, 20 years without any downtime. So that means this is a big challenge for us because we have usually no or low maintenance windows, or if we have maintenance windows, everything should work online. So it is a challenge. So how DTIT help to turn this carbon neutrality and sustainability journey to reality? So we were asked ourselves what is the biggest impact and where we can have the biggest impact. So to answer this question, it was not so easy at the beginning. So we decided to use the data we have, the data-driven approach, and in order to estimate where we can have the biggest impact in terms of reducing emission. So we started by measuring or estimating, because some, as I told you, sometimes we do not have a power meter or way to measure, so we are able to measure where we are not able to measure. We are able to estimate the power consumption, at least to start, and transform it into a carbon footprint and carbon emission to have an idea of our footprint. So what does it say? So in DTIT, we found that for our carbon neutrality journey, so it's mainly the scope 2 for DTIT, this is the data center. And data center represents 60% of our carbon emission and our footprint. Then just after we have the data center, we have the network. What we call the network for end user, for factory, so what is outside of the data center, and then we have the end user device. A lot of time I have questions around why end user device is so low, because we are one of the specificity of semiconductor company, we need a lot of IT. So first to design, so you're probably aware about Moore's law, so every chip is double the number of chip on it every time we build a new chip. So this is the Moore's law. Every 2 years, the size and the number of components of a chip is increasing. And this is the same. So to build and to design a new chip, a brand new chip from one generation to another generation of chip, we need 3 to 4 times more compute power and storage. So that means every time we design a new chip, and every year, the capacity we need to build it, to design it, is increasing. So this is the big point we need to address. And that's why we have a huge data center. We rely on some big data center, on-premises data center mainly, but we do rely on cloud as well. So that's why data center is the biggest part of our footprint. And even if we have a huge number of end-user devices, like PC, like printer, like many end-user devices, this is a very small part of our footprint compared to the data center footprint. So let's focus on the data center. As we saw, this is the biggest part of our footprint. So we ask the same question. In the data center, what is the biggest part of our footprint? I'm sure this is not a surprise, as what we have in the data center, the most energy-intensive part of the data center is server, far away from other devices like storage, network devices, or any security equipment. So, before I explain what we did, so we build a plan, so how to reduce carbon footprint in the data center. So there is two ways. One way is to improve the energy efficiency, so how to use the service we deliver to improve the service we deliver and to get it more efficient. So there is the IT operation part, where you know some of them. I'm sure you know very well some of them, like virtualization, consolidation, right sizing, just provisioning just in time. Right sizing and just in time are some buzzwords from VMware that can help to minimize your footprint. There is the IT efficiency part, so all the equipment. So that means you can use some CPU that consume less energy. So you will see later how we address this point. And there is the data center efficiency. We talk a lot of PO. So if you are not familiar with how many energy is used to power your data center, including the cooling, the lighting, and so on. So the lower your PO is, the better is efficient your data center. There is one way as well, is to increase the data center temperature. I will cover it later on as well. And second part is to use green energy or renewable energy. So one example is to use electricity from a green source, use some cooling, some free cooling, air cooling. So that means you do not need to cool your data center if you run it at high temperature, at the same temperature than outside air. So that means you need to power on your air condition or your water cooling only few days during the years, because you can run most of the time with the outside air temperature, because most of the IT equipment nowadays support a wide range of temperature, up to 27 or 40 degrees. They are working fine without any issue. So let's focus on virtualization. So one of the topics is server virtualization. So server virtualization is one way to save and to optimize our footprint in the data center. So our journey in in compute virtualization started many years ago. So we started in ST in 2007. Then we continue to work on virtualization, and we started storage virtualization with vSAN in 2018. So this is what we call and is called hyper-converged infrastructure. Then we continue with network virtualization. But this virtualization journey with all the layers, compute, storage, network, lead us to a huge number of clusters, VM to manage. So it's bring new problem. As I told you, we have no central management tool, no global visibility. So local admin and capacity manager have very few information, or at local level only, not at global company level. We have no or limited performance management solution, so how to know if it's performing well or not. So one way to manage that is each time we have a new project, a new factory, a new R&D center, we add new capacity, so additional capacity, additional server, additional storage. It was the way we were doing in the past year to sustain the growth. But we were still facing challenge. So we decide how to have a global visibility and capacity and performance. So this is where we started to look at the solution available on the market. So as we saw, we were not using at the maximum performance or maximum capacity all the infrastructure we are running. We were decided to look at what are the tools that can help us to do better. So first question we want to answer, how to increase the virtualization without impacting the performance. So basically, how to put more VM per physical server, so increasing the capacity, the usage of the server without impacting the performance. Of course, we have in mind at that time, as a part of our DNA, we are committed to sustainability, how to measure and track the contribution of virtualization, which is the biggest footprint for us in the data center, to sustainability. And this is where VMware helped. So first, we awarded the best solution at that time that was available on the market. It is ARIA Operation. Formerly, it was a different name. It was called at that time vRealize Operation. It allows us to do central management, to have an idea of the performance and to monitoring the performance of the VM and the application running on it. To have as well a global visibility in terms of capacity management. So it allows us to optimize the capacity, the performance, and reduce cost. So it helps us to increase by 25% our consolidation ratio. So that means we are running more VM per physical host with very good performance, and it allows us to decrease the number of servers we purchase every year. So you will tell me, what is the link with sustainability? I come to this point. So we have as well a TAM services. Maybe you heard about it. And probably some of you are already a big customer and a customer of TAM of VMware. And they already have a tool many years ago called vSphere Sustainability Tool. It's allowed to understand many things, and particularly on the sustainability. It brings all the data coming from vSphere and all historical data. So if you are having some data from vSphere from past few years, you are able to get them and to analyze them with the vSphere sustainability tool. And it gives you some interesting information, like evaluate if you need to replace some hardware because they are too old or because their environmental impact is very high. So that means you can replace by a brand new or refresh your hardware with more friendly, environmentally hardware. So in terms of efficiency, how you compare in terms of efficiency for CPU, memory, in terms of host size, what is the host size, and you are able as well to compare with other companies. So with a green score, you are able to benchmark and to see where you stand in terms of peers. But this is not all. VMware helps us as well on other topic because, I go too fast. As we started with the VMware Technical Account Manager tool, you saw as well that ARIA and vSphere are coming with this sustainability part. So last year, VMware announced in vSphere 8 that they introduced the green score part of vSphere. 1 year before, it has been included as well, this green score and many other sustainability dashboard in VMware ARIA Operation. So, but for now, we are mainly continue to rely on a sustainability tool from vSphere because we have historical data. While ARIA Operation is more recent, we do not have all the historical data because it starts to populate data when vSphere start to be connected to ARIA Operation, and we are able to collect metrics, sustainability metrics on ARIA side. So I talked about VMware. Now let's talk about 2 other initiatives before I show what are the outcome of all this initiative. So 2 other key initiatives. So one I spoke about briefly a few seconds ago, data center temperature optimization. So When we increase the temperature of the data center, it brings some saving in terms of cooling, and it reduces your carbon footprint. So there is some recommendation, so there is some standard across the planet, depending on the location, depending on the country, but there is some ASHRAE, which is an American organism that standardizes the temperature and makes some recommendation for the data center temperature. Say between 18 and 27 degrees, you are safe. And even though you can go above this temperature, because if you have recent equipment, you can be around 29, 30 degrees in your data center, you are still safe. So when we save, when we reduce or we increase, the temperature in the data center by 1 degree, it can save you up to 3 to 4% of energy. So when I say energy, it's not only cooling energy, but it's overall energy. So if you increase your data center temperature by 2, 3, 4 degrees, you can get very huge saving. So depending on what temperature you are running your data center, it's a way you can work on it to make it and to help your saving plan in terms of energy and carbon neutrality. Second topic, we work with a semiconductor company, We do chip, not x86 chip from Intel or AMD, but not memory, but every other chip we are making. So we know that the semiconductor can do very efficient semiconductor and CPU. So we are looking at what is available on the market and say, why not buying the most efficient CPU in your server? As we are purchasing a lot of server, we need a lot of compute. Makes sense to look at what are the cores, what are the CPU are consuming. So we did some benchmark. So for past 10 years, we look at all the new CPU coming on the market. So every 3, 6, 9 months, there is a CPU coming. And we check what are they consuming. So our metric is the power consumption per core. So last 2 years, the high performance CPU available on the market, whatever the vendor, are consuming between 7 and 10 watts per core. It's decreasing year after year. If I take an example, maybe 5 years ago, it was 10, 20 times more per core. So that means the semiconductor industry is becoming more and more efficient. Not only us, all the semiconductor company. And when you deploy the same server with same number of cores, same number of CPU, and you get 30% consumption less, is huge, especially when you have huge number of servers. So if you sum up all the saving on temperature optimization in your data center, CPU efficiency, you can reduce a lot your energy consumption, then your carbon footprint. So we saw how we improve operational efficiency. Let's look at what was the reduction contribution of all this initiative to date. The data center electricity consumption, we were able to reduce by 4% the electricity. Emission by 1%. Center server power consumption by 30%. So the two first numbers may seem very low for you. But as I told you, we are a 2-digit growth company. So that means in the same time, we build brand new facilities, huge factory. Factory rely on a huge data center with thousands of servers, thousands of IT equipment. So this is in perspective of high growth company. And this is not finished. So that means we are continuing this journey, and we should be even more efficient in the coming years. So how it is representing? So I share percentage in the previous slide, but what does that mean in terms of gigawatt of saving? So for these 3 initiatives, I spoke only for these 3, is a saving of 10 gigawatt hours per year of electricity. So it represents something like less than 3,000 metric ton of CO2 emission. So all these data are public, and we share the data part of our sustainability report that is available on our website. So as I told you, we are committed to sustainability. It's part of our DNA. So that means you have all the data of the past 27 years available on the website as well, not only the last sustainability report. So last topic I will cover right now. I told you, so we focus on saving and how to be more efficient in IT operation. So now let's look at the energy side. So we use utility providers to source our energy, but we also decided to be companies that produce their own energy. So I took two small examples because there is so many. I took one example, so Grenoble, where the site I'm belonging. So Grenoble is a R&D site. So we are something like 3,000 folks in R&D and IT support or IT folks. This site is having only data center, huge data center and offices. So we decided to put some photovoltaic panels, which is the largest photovoltaic panel in France for self-consumption. And it allows us to produce 2.7 gigawatt hours of electricity per year. So it represents something like 10% of the electrical energy used by the site, but 100% of the data center consumption. And I told you, this is not a small data center. This is a very big data center. Second example, we did the same, not the same, it was done before Grenoble, in Morocco. Morocco is a manufacturing plant. So we are running and we are building some chip. So we decided in 2020 to set up this solar panel and photovoltaic panel. So we have 40,000 square meters of panels. It delivers 1.2 gigawatt hours of electricity per year. Same, it can be low, but it's 100% of the data center energy consumption. And it's allowed to save a lot of CO2. But it's not finished, because in Morocco, for example, I took the example of photovoltaic panel, but we have wind farm as well. I do not have picture here because it's not on the site, but we build wind farm, or we rely on utility providers to help us to build farms, to rely on the wind when there is no sun, for example, during the night. Because when I told you, we are covering 100% of the data center, it's true for the day, but when there is no sun, we have to rely on another source of energy, and we rely on only green source of energy, so we have to find alternative way. So luckily for Grenoble, we are in the Alps, so there is hydroelectricity. We can rely during the night, so it's not a big deal. But for Morocco, this is the wind turbine that delivers electricity. So I'm almost done. So what's next? So of course, we started the journey, but the journey is not finished. So we will continue to monitor the power consumption and the emission in our data center, but in our cloud data center as well. You cannot improve if you cannot measure, so we need to measure everything to see where we stand, how we can improve, where we are going. We continue to optimize data center temperature, so we grow the temperature, increase the temperature year after year to rely only on I will say, free cooling. We have energy efficiency criteria for all the IT equipment purchase. So we started with the servers, as I told you, CPU is one key. And the second one, then we extended to other IT equipment. We do believe as well and rely on circular economy. So that means there is not only one life for IT equipment, there is multiple lives. So when you do not use anymore an equipment, there is many ways and many things you can do. You can give it to someone else. You can sell it. You can refurbish, remarket, remanufacture. You can recycle and reuse the raw material to build new semiconductor. So we deeply believe that this is something that is key. And as well, as IT is a partner for the business, we provide some solution to be compliant in terms of green compliance for all the products we deliver. So as we are making physical product, we are doing semiconductor, we want to show customer, the user, how they are green, how our product what's the impact of our product on the planet. So I will jump directly to the Q&A session. I'm done. So feel free if you have questions. I want to hear from you. I'm sure you have points. Sure.
This mic's working again.
Sure. Thank you. No question. I'm sure there is. Thank you.
Scope 3, sorry, yeah. Hi, Daniel Gonzalez from France. How do you manage, how is your big issue to manage the Scope 3 data today?
Very good question. So first, our carbon neutrality journey up to 2027 is partial Scope 3, but just after 2027, we will not stop here. So the goal is to be carbon neutral on all the 3 scopes and not limited to partially the Scope 3. So we are already embarked in this journey. So that means we are collecting the data. We are making some plan how to cover the rest of the scope. So I'll take an example. For example, as we are relying on cloud as well, cloud is a Scope 3 for us. So that means we already partner with cloud providers that are already carbon neutral. So that means we choose the partner based on our strategy. So that means if we want to work with some partners that are not carbon neutral or that are not committed to sustainability journey, we help them, like we are helped by our customer or supplier to go in that direction. So we share where we stand, what we did, and how they can achieve it. So that means we share the data with them, and we show the path to reach the carbon neutrality. So cloud provider is one thing, but carbon is coming as well in the Scope 3 from the IT devices. So there is the building part. So when you build the devices, you emit some carbon. When you build it, when you design it first, you build it, and when you need to recycle it, not only when you use it. So for that, we have a program as well to recycle all the equipment, all the things we are building to be reused. So this is how we collect the data. For now, we collect the data. We use tools from partners, because there is some partners that are very advanced in terms of collecting the data, analyzing the data for sustainability. And the next step is to use the data with AI to get some insight and to find the things we are not able to do so far. No more questions? So, as we are almost at the end, so, yeah, please take your survey, take a survey, and I want you, when you go out of this room, you think what you can do in your company, in your daily life, in your community, for sustainability, to improve the environment. I'm sure you have plenty of ideas. I just show a few examples, what we do in ST, but ST is just a company, a business. This is the only way where we can improve and save the planet, maybe to keep it and to lower the climate change, to lower the emission, the carbon emission. So I'm sure everybody has a role to play in this journey. Thank you.